In today's video, we're going to be looking at 6 basic rules for manipulating surds. Okay, so the first rule is that the square root of a number a times the square root of another number b is equal to the square root of a times b together. Okay, so for instance, let's say we have the square root of 4 times the square root of 3. Then we can rewrite this as the square root of 4 times 3, okay? And then if we simplify, this would be the square root of 4 times 3, 12. Okay. Now the second rule is that the square root of a divided by the square root of b is equal to the square root of a divided by b, okay? So say for example we have the square root of 18 divided by the square root of 2. Then we can rewrite this as the square root of 18 divided by 2. Okay. Then again, if we simplify, 18 divided by 2 is 9. So we get the square root of 9, and we know that that's 3. Excellent. Now what about this third rule here? The square root of a plus the square root of b. Now the reason I've put this here is because this is a very, very common mistake. Okay? When you have the square root of a plus the square root of b, you do nothing. Okay? You cannot manipulate this. It stays like this. Okay? Or in other words, it's not. So it's definitely not, which is the most common mistake. It's definitely not the square root of a plus b together. Okay? So make sure not to make that mistake. Okay? Excellent. Then let's look at these ones, which are slightly harder. So first we have a plus the square root of b in brackets squared. So this is the same thing, right? Because it's squared, it's the same thing as a plus the square root of b in brackets times a plus the square root of b. Okay? And then if we expand these two brackets, we would have a times each term inside the brackets, and then the square root of b times each term inside the other bracket. Okay? So if we do a times a, we get a squared. Then we have a times the square root of b plus the square root of b times a. Okay, that's why we get 2a square root of b. And then the square root of b times the square root of b is simply b. Okay, so let's look at an example. So let's say we have 3 plus the square root of 4, or actually 5, let's do, squared. Okay, so this is the same thing as having it twice, right? So 3 plus the square root of 5, brackets, 3 plus the square root of 5. And then we need to expand these brackets, okay? Now, I've already made the video on how to expand double brackets, so make sure to go check it out if you're not sure how to. Now, again, remember I said we need to expand these double brackets. So let me get rid of these. So we need to expand these double brackets. So first we multiply the 3 by each term inside the other bracket, and then the square root of 5 times each term inside the other bracket. So 3 times 3 is 9. Then 3 times square root of 5. Then we have square root of 5 times 3, which is the same really as 3 times the square root of 5. And then we have square root of 5 times square root of 5. Okay. Okay, so let's try and simplify this. So 9 stays the same. Then we have plus 3 square root of 5 plus 3 square root of 5. So this is equal plus 6 square root of 5. And then we have square root of 5 times square root of 5. Okay? So remember from the algebra rules, we can rewrite the square root of 5 as 5 to the power of 1 over 2. And then when we multiply these, we need to add the powers. So we need to add 1/2 plus 1/2. And 1/2 plus 1/2 is simply 1. Okay, so we get plus 5. Okay? So that's how you get this same result here. Excellent. Now let's look at rule 5. Rule 5, we have a plus the square root of b, brackets, times a minus the square root of b, in brackets, okay? So this isn't exactly the same as 4, okay? In 4, we have the same sign, plus. In this case, we have a plus sign and we have a minus sign, okay? Now again, here we expand the brackets, okay? We expand the double brackets. And so, well, let's look at an example. So let's take 2 plus the square root of 3. And then 2 minus the square root of 3. So again, we need to expand this. So we need to multiply the 2 by each term inside the other bracket, and the square root of 3 by each term inside the other bracket. So 2 times 2 is 4, okay, which is the same as a squared, so 2 squared. Then 2 times minus the square root of 3. So then we have minus 2 square root of 3. Then we have square root of 3 times 2. So this is plus 2 times square root of 3. And then square root of 3 times square root of 3, which we just said, as in the previous example, is simply the number itself. So plus 3. Okay. Now we can simplify this further, right? So we have minus 2 square root of 3 plus 2 square root of 3. So this cancels out, right? This is equal to 0. And then we have 4 plus 3. So this is equal to 7. Okay, quite simply. Or in other words, if we want to rewrite it as the formula right above it, we can rewrite it as a squared, which in our case is simply 4. So 2 squared minus b, which in our case we have plus 3. Okay, excellent. Oh, sorry, I made a mistake. So square root of 3 times minus square root of 3. Okay, so this is equal to minus 3. My apologies. So we have minus 3. Okay, excellent. And then the last rule, which is one of the most important ones, which is called rationalizing the denominator. Okay, so we're gonna have a small introduction to this in today's video. So first we have a term like this. So a divided by the square root of b. Now what rationalizing the denominator is we essentially want to get rid of the square root in the denominator. Okay, to make our life much easier to simplify. So the way we do this is by multiplying each term in the fraction by the denominator. Okay, which is why we multiply a times square root of b and square root of b times itself, square root of b, okay? And then we solve the multiplication, okay? So let's look at an example. So let's take 5 over the square root of 6. So we want to get rid of the square root of 6. So the way we do this is, like I said, we need to multiply each term by the denominator. So we do 5 over square root of 6 times, and then square root of 6. So 5 times the square root of 6, and then square root of 6 times square root of 6. And then we solve. So 5 times square root of 6, we can simply write this as the 5 times the square root of 6. And then remember, just like the fourth and the fifth example, a square root of a number times the square root of the same number, we can get rid of the square roots, okay? And so this is simply equal to 6. Okay, so that'll be it for today's video. Let me know down in the comments if you have any questions, and I'll be happy to answer them.